Does the creator of the universe have feet? Shalom everyone, thanks for joining me today on Yah-splain, where we like to let Yah-splain the scriptures. We let our fingers do the walking and the words do the talking. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and you're going to want to share this video. In this video, we're going to talk about this verse in Zechariah 14:4, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives. Does the creator of the heavens and earth have feet? Does he have hands? Is he a human being? Is he like us? You know, when it comes to different aspects of the scriptures, we need to understand what it means when it says that Yahuwah comes to earth. How do we understand these verses like Zechariah 14:4, where it says that Yahuwah's feet will stand upon the earth? All scripture needs to be understood in light of all other scriptures. If there's apparent contradictions, we don't want to just choose one side or the other. We need to understand the whole body of text within the context, within the text, right? The book is a Bible, it's a language, it's a book of language. The entire book has metaphors, it has similes, it has different symbols and symbology, different styles of writings. And the book of the Bible is not something to be taken literally at all times. We need to understand everything within the context of everything. So how do we reconcile these verses like Zechariah 14:4 when we read 1 Timothy 1:17? It says, "Now unto the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only wise Elohim." It says there that he's invisible. John 4:24, the Messiah says, Elohim is spirit. He is Ruach. They that worship him must worship him in the spirit, in the Ruach, not in the flesh, but in the spirit. John 1:18, no man has seen the Father at any time. The only one, the Yechad, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him, he has made him known. So if Yahuwah is invisible, if he is spirit, if he is omnipresent, then how is it that there's a multitude of verses in the scriptures that talk about his feet, his hand, his ears? Exodus 3:33-20 says, "And he said, you cannot see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen." He's sitting here talking to Moses, right? Deuteronomy 4:12. Yahuwah spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but you saw no similitude, only heard a voice. So that word similitude, if you look at this in the Septuagint, it's the same Greek word that Paul uses in Romans 1:23, how they changed the glory of the incorruptible Elohim into an image made like unto corruptible man, into birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. So that was one of the big problems with Israel, is they kept turning Yahuwah into a man. They turned him into a bull. He was Baal. He was the bull. They changed the image of the incorruptible Elohim into that of a man, of that of a beast, into the stars, into his creation. Essentially, any creation of Yahuwah is not Yahuwah. That which is invisible cannot be seen by the naked eye, by the flesh. It has to be manifest in a physical realm, or a prophet or a seer has to be having a vision in which they are not seeing with their physical eyes, but they are seeing with their spiritual eyes. They are seeing into the spirit realm. Moses in Israel, or anyone in times past, has never seen an actual physical body of Elohim, because Elohim is invisible. Elohim is omnipresent. He's not in one location or another. He himself is not a singular it that can be contained in the body of a human being. Now, having said that, he does fill us humans, his son included, with his spirit. But it's more of like a drop from the vast ocean. We are a manifestation of Yah in the flesh, in that we are his image bearers. We are his representatives on earth. Yah fills the entire universe with his presence and is not just in one place at one time. So in this study, I'm going to show you that in times past, they heard his voice or they saw an angel, which was in most cases of them having a vision. I'm going to show how the Bible communicates to us through metaphors like anthropomorphism and personification, the concept of Elohim, so that we can understand him on a personal level, human level. And our ultimate understanding of the Father is to see the Son who has declared him and made him known. But throughout the Old Testament, the Tanakh, the front half of the book, we have this anthropomorphism, this personification, this language that's used throughout the Bible. And the Bible is a book of language. It's a book of symbols, metaphors, poetry. We see this multiple times. Zechariah 14:3-4, the key verse here. It says, "Then shall Yahuwah go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east." So what does this mean, that his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives? Is this literal? Are we going to see a literal creator come and stand with physical feet on the Mount of Olives? Genesis 3:8 it says, "They heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim, walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden." So how does Yahuwah go forth against the nations? How can you hear a voice walking? How does Yah accomplish anything? What does it mean when we see verses like this that appear to indicate that Yahuwah is a human being just like us, having hands and feet, walking? What does that mean? Well, one explanation is through anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is the attribution of human characteristics, emotions, or intentions to non-human entities like animals, objects, or natural phenomena, stemming from Greek words meaning human form. So it's to give something that is not human-like qualities. Very similar to that is personification, the attribution of a personal nature or human characteristic to something that is non-human. Yahuwah is not human. He is spirit. But the Bible communicates in this language so that we can understand them on a human level. So some examples like, "It has grieved Yahuwah's heart," or "He changed his mind," or "The arm of Yahuwah," or "Yah breathed through his nostrils." This is metaphorical language. This is spiritual language. We speak in spiritual terms, comparing the spiritual with the spiritual. Another example for personification: the wind howled, his blood cried, the hills clap, wisdom cries. See, these are poetic forms of literature that are used throughout Scripture to communicate concepts and ideas so that we can understand them on a human level. So we'll look at this in Genesis chapter 11-5. We see this multiple times throughout the Tanakh of Yahuwah coming down to earth. In verse 5 it says, "And Yahuwah came down." to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. Exodus 3:8, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of Mitzrayim. Well, how does Yahuwah get anything done? How is anything accomplished? Exodus 33:9, and it came to pass as Moshe entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and Yahuwah talked with Moshe. Exodus 34:5, and Yahuwah descended in the cloud and stood with him there and called the name of Yahweh. So verse 9, it says, the standing cloud stood, and Yahuwah spoke to Moses face to face. So what does this mean? Is this literal? Did Yahuwah literally come down? Or did a cloud literally come down and stand before? Do clouds stand? This is anthropomorphic language. This is attributing human-like qualities to things that are not human. If you keep reading in this section, it says that the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle of the door, and Yahuwah spoke to Moses face to face as a man speaks to his friends. All throughout the record of Exodus, it says that Yah led them out, covering the tabernacle in a cloud by day and fire by night. When Moses ascended to the heaven, Yah spoke to him in a cloud. Prior to the Exodus, when he first met Yahuwah, he says that he spoke to him in a fire, in a bush. So he speaks to him in a fire. He speaks to him in a clouds. Well, what are clouds? Clouds are things that conceal. They cover up. Incidentally, the word for cloud is also the same word used for enchanter, or someone who incants, someone who casts spells, or a charmer, an observer of times, or a soothsayer. Essentially, it's people who use words, like abracadabra. Some think that means ha-barak dabara, the blessed word, or the name of the blessed. Point is, it's Yah's word that he communicates to the prophets in visions, in a voice, and sometimes that voice is manifest in a physical form of an angel visiting someone. But most of these visits are a vision of the mind and not literally taking place. We see this with the blessing of Abraham and many other prophets. Genesis 15:1. After these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Avram in a vision. So the word came to Abraham in a vision, but he was there communicating with an angel in his mind. Moses, on the other hand, was unique in that he spoke to Yah mouth to mouth, even though that we are told that he could not see his face. In Numbers 12:5-8, it says, and Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aharon and Miriam, and they both came forth. And Yahuwah said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. So this mouth-to-mouth expression isn't talking about a physical mouth-to-mouth, but look at what it's contrasting here. It's saying that Yah will speak to Moses clearly. He's not going to speak to him in dark speeches, which is riddles or parables. He's going to speak to him directly, as an opposition to Aaron and Miriam, who were challenging and questioning the authority of Moses at that time. It says that Yahuwah was going to speak plainly to Moshe, mouth to mouth, not in a riddle, not in dark speeches. And at times that similitude that is a form is actually that of an angel. We see in Exodus 14:9, and the angel of Elohim, which went before the camp of Yashrael, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. So we're seeing that it's the angel in the cloud that is communicating to Moses. Exodus chapter 3, verse 2 and 4. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the thorn bush. And when Yahuwah saw that, he turned aside to see Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the thorn bush. And Moshe, Moshe, he said, Here am I. So in this verse, it shows us that the angel appeared. That was the similitude, the manifestation of Yahuwah to Moses, but it was Elohim who is actually communicating, who is talking. So Yahuwah has his agents. How does he accomplish anything? He does it through his agents, his messengers, his delegates. The king doesn't leave his throne to deliver a message for himself. He uses his agents, his ambassadors. It's through the process of agency and anthropomorphism that the scriptures communicate to us a personified human version of Elohim having feet like a king on his throne with a footstool. Isaiah 66:1. Thus says Yahweh, Heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. We know this is a metaphor. Does Yah literally have feet resting on the earth that is his footstool? No. It's a figure of speech. Jeremiah 23:24. Can anyone hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, says Yahweh? Do not I fill the heavens and the earth, says Yahweh? Psalm 139:8. If I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, behold, you are there. See, Yahuwah is omnipresent, and he fills his entire creation. There is nowhere that we can go that he is not there. He is not one single entity in one single place at one single time. Zechariah 14:3-4 says, Then shall Yahuwah go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives. Exodus 15:3, Yahuwah is a man of war. Yahuwah is his name. Psalm 24:8, Who is the King of glory? Yahuwah strong and mighty. Yahuwah Gabor, mighty in battle. So when we read these verses like his feet standing on the Mount of Olives, it's not literal but figurative language used to communicate his involvement, his engagement, his being with us in battle. He's Emmanuel. El is with us. Micah 1:3-4. Hear, all ye people, listen. Hearken, O earth, and all that therein is, and let Adonai Yahweh be witness against you. Yahuwah from his holy temple, for behold, Yahuwah comes forth out of his place, and will come down, and tread upon the high places of the earth, and the mountains shall be molten under him, and the valleys shall be cleft as wax before the fire, and as the waters that are poured down a steep place. Psalm 18:6-9. In my distress I called upon Yahweh and cried unto my Elohim. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. More anthropomorphic language. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. So we see this type of language over and over again. At the prayer of the psalmist, Yahuwah came down. This is figurative. This is not literal. Judges 5, verses 4 through 5. Yahuwah, when you went out of Seir, when you marched out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens dropped. The clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted before Yahweh, even that Sinai from before Yahweh Elohai of Yisrael. Referencing Deuteronomy 33 verse 2. And he said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up from Seir. Unto them he shined forth from Mount Paran. And he came with 10,000s of his Kodashim from his right hand, went a fiery law for them. So just like in the days of Sinai, the mountains figuratively melt when his feet figuratively came down on the mountain. This is Bible talk. This is how the Bible communicates. Yahuwah didn't literally march out of Edom. He didn't literally place his feet down. He didn't literally leave his habitation, which, a lot of people teach the angels left their habitation, came down to earth, and impregnated human women. That is the crux of a lot of the story within Christianity, is that Yahuwah came to earth in the form of Jesus through a virgin woman. This nonsense. We need to understand the Bible in all of its context. Psalm 68 verse 7. O Elohim, when you went forth before your people, when you did march through the wilderness, Selah, the earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of Elohim, even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of Elohim, the Elohai of Yisrael. When we understand how the Bible is written in the spiritual language, comparing spiritual with spiritual, we understand that Yah is really trying to communicate and won't get wrapped up with all this literalist teaching out there who are always focused on the things of this flesh. They're always worried about the third temple being built and the third kingdom. But it's already been done, my brothers and sisters. It has already been taken care of. We see more of this. Habakkuk 3:3-6 and verse 12. Eloah came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Verse 4, and his brightness was as the light, and he had rays of light coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth, and beheld, and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. You did march through the land in indignation. You did thresh the heathen in anger. Isaiah 64:1, 3-4. Oh, that you would rend the heavens, that you would come down, that the mountains might flow down at your presence. As when the melting fire burns, the fire causes the waters to boil, to make your name known to your adversaries, that the nations may tremble at your presence. When you did terrible things which we looked not for, you came down. The mountains flowed down at your presence. For since the beginning of the world, men have not seen, heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither has the eye seen, O Elohim, beside you, what he has prepared for him that waits for him. Understanding the poetry, the figurative language used in the Bible, helps avoid the pitfalls of idolatry and making Yahuwah into like that of a corruptible man. Again, in Zechariah, we see this figurative language. Chapter 2, verses 10-13. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Sion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of you, says Yahweh. Be silent, O all flesh, before Yahweh, for he is raised up, he is awakened out of his holy habitation. Ezekiel 11:23-24. And the glory of Yahweh went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain, which is on the east side of the city, Mount Olives. Afterwards the Ruach took me up and brought me in a vision by the Ruach Elohim into Kasadiim, the Chaldees, right, to them of the captivity. So the vision that I had seen went up from me, Ezekiel, having a vision of the glory of Yahweh standing upon the Mount of Olives. We see this figurative language of Yahuwah arising, awakening, coming down from his habitation, descending and standing upon the earth. We see how through his voice, through visions, he communicates to his prophets, and this is how he engages with us. Yah is with us. He gave us his word. He gave us his spirit. He gave us his son. His son was given the spirit without measure. His son could be considered Yahuwah anthropomorphically in the flesh, but at the same time, his son had his own mind. He had his own will, and he did not know everything. But he subjected his own will and said, "Not my will, but your will, Father." And it was the Father who exalted him, who raised him up from the dead. He's what the Father would look like in human form were he one of us, but Yahuwah is not. He's omnipresent. But Yahuwah does operate via his angels, via his ambassadors. His Son completely demonstrated the very character and nature of the Father here on earth. 2 Corinthians says that Yah was in Mashiach, reconciling the world unto himself, and that he is also in us, and that he has given us the ministry of reconciliation. See, by faith, we are able to see that which is invisible, just like Moshe. Hebrews 11:27. By faith, Moses, when he left Egypt, not being afraid of the anger of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Colossians 1:15. Who is the image, referring to the Messiah, he is the image, the icon of the invisible Elohim. So Elohim is invisible. Messiah is the icon. That word icon in the Greek, it means likeness. It's what he would look like. Messiah was the firstborn of all creation to rise from the dead, as it says in verse 18. Well, guess what? 2 Peter 1:4, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. So the Messiah, being the firstborn of all creation, to rise from the dead, to receive a new body, in him does the fullness of deity dwell. In that same way, we too are partakers, and we take on the likeness of Elohim. We become that image, that representation. Peter says, according to his divine power, he has given us all things for life and godliness, that we too are partakers of that same divine nature. The Messiah was the unique chosen Son, the first one begotten from the grave, chosen among men to rule the creation that Yah created for us. In Hebrews chapter 1, this should put any doubt to whether Yahusha, the Son, pre-existed as some angel of the Lord. That's nonsense. Get it out of here. Hebrews 1:1-5, it says, Elohim, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. But he has in these last days spoken unto us via his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the ages, or for whom he made the ages, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his character, when he by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high. Being made, he was made so much better than the angels. He wasn't an angel, he was made better than the angels. And he has by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. For unto which of the angels said he at any time, You are my son, this day have I begotten you. And again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. Well, people keep saying we're in the last days. Yep, you're right. It started almost 2,000 years ago. The day of the Lord isn't just one day. It's a time period. And I'll digress for that right now for this teaching, but stay tuned because I do have an end times video coming out. But the words here, the express image, is the word character. So he behaves in the same manner and character as his father. He's a spitting image of his dad. The word person here in the King James actually is, in the Greek it's the word hypostasis. The word hupo means under. He's under the authority of his Elohim and Father. He's at the right hand of the Father, being subject to the Father because Elohim is his God and Father, his creator. And it says that he is better than the angels. He's not some pre-existent angel, but he's better than the angels. At no time, this rhetorical question, at which time did he ever say, You angels are my son? Never happened. No angels were ever called the sons of Elohim, and I just put out a video on the sons of Elohim or the fallen angels are not sons of Elohim. We've been lied to through our English versions and corruption within Jewish texts, but it's not true. None of the angels did he say, You are my son. He created this earth for us, for the lights to shine upon us. All his angels serve us for the purpose of his creation. It was only Yahusha ben Yosef, Hamashiach, that was begotten from the grave that Yahuwah raised up to inherit Yahuwah's creation. Isaiah 4:5-6 says, And Yahuwah will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Sion and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night, and upon all the glory shall be a defense. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storm and from rain. This is all throughout the entire Bible, this metaphorical language. Revelation 22:3-4, And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Elohim and the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for Yahweh Elohim gives them light, and they shall reign forever. Yahusha opened up the gates. He is the way, he is the door. I am the door. I am the gate. He's the one who opened it up for us to enter into Yahuwah's holy place, into his heavens, into his realm, Yahuwah's temple, to be able to approach his throne of grace. His kingdom is not seen with physical eyes, but it is in our very midst. We are his habitation where he dwells in us, not in stones made by hand. He dwells within us to will and do of his good pleasure. We bring heaven to earth when we keep his word, and the invisible Father is seen and understood as his sons and daughters walk out his instructions. He who has seen us has seen the Father, and by our obedience to the Father. His feet are our feet. He has no hands but our hands, and he's manifested himself in us so that we can accomplish his will as his ambassadors, as his angels delivering good news of Yahuwah. That is what it means when his feet have landed upon the earth, when he comes down, when he descends. It's figurative language to communicate these concepts and ideas, and it's not to be taken literal. So I hope this blessed you. If you haven't already, Sure love to hear from you. Put some comments in. Give me a like. Give me a share. Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Love you guys. Shalom.